All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all the brothers and a few sisters out there. Unto the thy foreigners from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom in the Hebrew, which means peace. It's going to be a quick show through the spirit of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. Not only our brothers are edified through the spirit. I just had a title that popped in my mind. I'm just going to go with the spirit. Because the title I had in mind was Countdown to His Demise. And I was talking to one of the beloved brothers, Pashai, and we had a good conversation. And something that I was extremely express. Um, when this society goes, there are two, more than two, but the two major players on the chessboard loses the worst. The number one person that's going to lose dramatically is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And there's plenty of scriptures on that. All right. This is why he is going out the way he's going out. We living in a time, this is the most dangerous time that we're living in because of the fact when somebody is losing power, they feel that their power is being is slipping out of their hand. The thing that people the nature of a man and women is to do what? To cling on to whatever they can have. All right, real quick, if I give you number two, because number two and number one, they work hand in hand. Proverbs 14 and 5, it says, "Seeing his days are determined." So when something's determined, it's already set. It's already made. Okay, it's already. It has a end to it. And this is the thing that people. It goes for us too. When there's truth, we gotta always remind ourselves that this shit is coming to an end. This shithole, this position that we are in, is coming to an end. Because the person that's in power, the person that's in rulership, his day's been determined. Okay, we just gotta play it out. Sometimes it seems like they're winning, but they're not winning. It says the number of his months are with thee, that appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So he can't go on forever. This shit can't go on forever. All right. Us being down, when I mean us, is talking about you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Those who watch our videos, if you don't know who the Israelites, the true biblical Israelites by now, I don't know what to tell you. If you still second guessing, or third guessing, or fourth guessing, like who are the people, the Lord's chosen people, then you got issues. Because the scriptures tell you that the Lord changed not. The society will spin you it'll spin you a dream to have you believe that these small hatters are the Lord's chosen people, but they don't fit what the scripture says. They don't fit the prophecies. All right, they're not in distress like how we are, and our history speaks for itself. The scripture says, "The Spirit beareth witness with our spirit." So, no matter how a man may think, they'll try to spin it and try to say, "Oh no, it's everybody." The Gentiles, and they'll do all song and dance, but they could never really address the fact that the people that's out there doesn't fit not a single description of how the Bible's gonna speaks about them. All right. But before I continue with that, the number two greatest biggest losers is women. All right. Women. You women, mainly our women, because there's a disconnect. There's a great disconnection between the Israelite man and the Israelite woman. All right, and that disconnection really is she allowing Satan to get to her, and this what proves it even um the most is the fact that our women, the so-called black, mainly the Judite women. All right, we get that one scripture. Let me get this one scripture. It's not gonna be about women. I'm just going with the spirit. It says, Isaiah 3:16. Moreover, the Lord saith, but because the daughters of Zion. So the daughters, when you go into the scripture, when it says daughter of Israel or daughter of Zion, it's talking about the men. All right. But when it says daughters, plural, it's talking about the straight up women. So Zion is what? So Zion one in the Hebrew, which means monument. So the Lord said, moreover, because the daughters, the women of Zion, are haughty. Haughty is another word of saying proud. All right. People have like this pompous thing about them. It says, and walk with stretched neck forth. And walk with stretched forth necks, meaning the head is on high. And wonton, this it means undisciplined. All right. Mainly the main undisciplined thing that's happening, it might be about these broads because it just kind of hit me. This saying that HIV and something else is at an all-time high. There's two reasons for why HIV, AIDS, and all these sexual transmitted diseases are at an all-time high. One, obviously, the promiscuous of women just opening their legs and going raw dog with everything that moves. But what people also fail to realize too, because a lot of people, the reason why they don't want to say that because a lot of them did it. Okay, because you trusted in the number one guy that you shouldn't trust, and many of people have 2020 went out there and got an experimental drug put into them, which I just saw on the tube. I don't know. I don't want to go in there. Robert Kennedy. Let me see if I can find it. Salakia. It's like when you see things and you never really think that it's gonna what's the word I'm looking for? That is gonna add to your particular scripture. I just seen it too. It was maybe. Shoot up this. Nope, that wasn't there. All right. So if I can't find it, I'll just say what it was. Okay, it was uh, uh, NBC. I don't want that. I don't really like committing to things. I'm not trying to go to the live, but it was an NBC that stated that Robert Kennedy has removed or the mandation or the guidance to pregnant women and children, healthy pregnant women and children, for getting that the C19. So why it's so controversial? For one, these morons out here was stupid enough to take an experimental drug, put it in their body. Like I said, I hate when it happens. I really want to get the thing, but it doesn't matter. So when they put that experimental drug in their body, rumor, also facts, was the side effects of these particular things. And one of the main things how they got into people's body was giving them something that oppresses their immune system. So instead of everybody coming out of the pandemic wise enough, or they went buck wild, buck crazy, but it really matter. A common cold could have killed your ass. So majority of these people have full blown AIDS out here. All right, unbeknownst to them. Why? Because they took a experimental drug that came from whom? The same number one trifling enemy that's out there. So a lot of our women being wanton or sexually, let me look it up. It says wanton, right? It should say it. It says a Hebrew word. It's a core. It's a core. It's a qua. It's a qua. Sorry. It says to ogre, be wanton, ogling. I don't know what that means. I know in when you look it up in the Greek, let's see if that pops up. Definition. I don't know. Ogle. Ogle. Okay, okay. Ogle. Stare at literary manners. I don't know what that is. So there you go. That's what I wanted to see. The same thing in the Greek. Litris. Litris. Oh, no? Lecherous. Lecherous. Okay. Having or showing excessive or offensive sexual desire. So wanton, because it says in the same thing in the Greek when you go into we're talking about James the 5th chapter, right? It's basically sexual uh um sexual desires. We live in a hyper sexual society. Like if you ain't getting it, you ain't nobody. Even if you're getting it, you still don't nobody. And is amount of what's that word? Amount of partners that you deal with. Now I don't know how true it is about this particular rumor. I think it is still a rumor that there's a law that's gonna be passed if a woman cheats on it. If a man or a woman cheats in their marriage, that they will go to jail. I don't know how true that is. It could just be a rumor, but that would make a lot more sense. Well, film to think of The Handmaid's Tale, and it pretty much gives you an idea how the new world order is going to be established, and then how they pretty much molded you morons out there to do everything your heart desires, just for them when they set their order to crush you in your belief. So our women have become sexual deviants. All right. It says wanton eyes. So we got that, the desire, and they design everything, even other women. They design women out, the so-called black women are designing other women. I was discussing this with the beloved brother, stating that women are so terrible these days. When they come out dressing, looking right, they don't even trying to look right for a man that they're with. They're looking right for other women to compliment them. So we live in a sicko society where, like the scripture says, they love us of their own selves. All right. It said walking and mincing as they go and making tinkling with their feet. So, like the scripture says in Deuteronomy 28th chapter, that our women, when they set their souls on the ground, roughly paraphrasing, that's how delicate they were. Okay. It says, therefore, the Lord will smite them with a scab. What they call that medical term, alopecia or whatever. Majority of our women inherit boldness. Okay, straight up boldness. That's a curse that the Lord put upon our women. And out of all nations of women, they're the ones that get it the most, which is ironically funny. The famous actress Jada Pinkett Smith. Okay, the reason why she's back in the days, she always had a buzz cut because her hair can't fucking grow. So that right there show you that who the Israelite women are. And it says the crown of their head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. Meaning what? What is a secret part? The secret part is their private part, private, secret, same thing. And you is all in Front Street. I remember we're talking to one of the brothers and said it's so crazy now that if you see a woman in a dress, you go crazy. But when we see, because we see half naked women anywhere, everywhere. Brother from Miami came up and said that the problem we got in Miami, you see damn near half naked women all the time. I'm like, and that's like crazy when your mindset is like, damn, that's kind of crazy. But the Lord is allowing everybody to see their secret parts. It's full. That's why they wear the yoga pants, and bitches don't even commit. They're not even doing yoga. All right, they're not doing yoga at all. They're not even working out, but they just want to show their entire shape of their body. And then when a man thirsts after that, if it's the wrong guy that thirsts after that, he's a creep. He's a problem. But all that energy to try to make yourself look available, even though you got somebody, you're gonna pay for that because once again, the biggest two losers when this shit hits the fans are women and Esau. All right, yeah, 2/3 is gonna get it. We not don't get it twisted. They're number three in the chart. However, the two major people that's gonna lose their positions that they had on this side of the world for so long is those two factors. Okay, those two major factors. It says, "In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of the tinkling ornaments about their feet, and the coals in their round tires like the moon. Their chains and their bracelet and their mufflers and their bonnet, and the bitches love wearing bonnets too, by the way, and the ornaments of the leg and the headbands and the temblets and the earrings, the rings, the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel. That's why everything is catered to women in this society. You go to any store, they got the cheapest, uh, um, the cheapest clothing. All right, and the biggest consumers in the society. Oh, one of the main things that they consume is hair of the women's hair. So all that shit is gonna be taken away, and it says in the whippers and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils, and that's when they used to look somewhat modest. You throw all that, you throw all that away, and we got nothing but beasts out here. All right, you see them straight up. You see everything. There's nothing left to the imagination. Yet they still try to carry themselves like as they're precious. And it said, "It shall come to pass, instead of a sweet smell, there shall be a stink." Which majority of these broads out here, they're they're the JJs are disgusting. All right, are disgusting. Why? Because of all the adultery that they commit. The vibration of America is a vibration of a woman. All right, this is why it is a queendom. That's why it says about the Queen of Heaven. Everything is of a women are upheld high in this society. They could do no wrong. This whole we was talking about it the other day. Within a week or two, you had the Cassidy, you had the Tory Lanez, and this other guy just add to the equation, but nothing bad happened. Travis Hunter of a rookie, and all the signs in the world that's telling him no. Every man giving him advice. This simp just still decides to get married to his woman. No prenup, no nothing. And she's and talking to her brother and she's pregnant. So all this shit, and you got I said Cassie, Tory Lanez with Meg The Stallion, There was another factor, another major factor. I don't know why I can't remember, but all this indicating is just women showing that they grasping to remain in the position of power. They're fighting tooth and nail, just like their lover, all right? But the Lord is exposing them, all right? Women are being exposed, Esau is being exposed simultaneously. And it says instead of a girdle, a rent. That's why the majority of our women are fucking big as a house, or completely out of shape. And I just wanted to pass by. They're completely out of shape. All right, there is no shape with them. They're completely abominable. They have the gluttonous demon. A lot of them, the reason why they box stink as well is because of the food that they consume. But you can't tell them that. All right, and it says, and instead of a well set hair, boldness. And the biggest industry is the wig industry. All right, and who's the number one consumers? Women wear weaves as wearing a fucking like a man wear a baseball cap. She just pop it up now. They created a stocking cap and they just pop it up, and all of a sudden you met a girl. Her hair was short. Next day her hair is long. Like what the fuck? It's like this. Is this a miracle? No, it's a goddamn lie. They said that instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. So that show you that the average women today are ugly as hell. All right, majority, the ones that we could in our mind, because it's just the way we are. We hardwire. They're not fine like they used to be. Matter of fact, they've been ugly for a long period of time. This is proof right here. Instead of burning, it says, and burning instead of beauty. They don't. There's no natural beauty. That's why they gotta mask themselves. Thy men shall fall by the sword. All these simps are gonna die. All right. All these guys that's out there to save you out of your conditions and will go and fend for your honor and all this other shit. They're gonna die. Tells you Second Ezra. All right. It's the 16th chapter that their bridegroom and their men is gonna die in war, famine, and so forth. They're not gonna have the fortitude to do anything. And the roles are coming back. Once again, when somebody's losing power, because we're in a position of transition of power, those who's losing it, they're gonna go all out. They're gonna try their best. And this is the problem with majority of our people. Matter of fact, let me get that. This is not about the broads, it's just part of the subject. It says Revelations 12 and 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman. Who is that woman? Is it talking about women in general? No. The woman is Israel. The dragon is the Roman Empire. All right, which came back as what? America, EU. So it was wroth. Wroth. Let's look up the word wroth in the Greek. Is orgozano, to provoke, to arouse to anger, to be provoked to anger, be angry, be wroth. To provoke or enrage, that is passively become experiated or sperated by anger. So the dragon was wroth with the woman because of the eternal hatred. It tells you about Jacob and Esau and how Esau had a perpetual hatred. That shit carried out through every dynasty, empire that ever existed. So they were wroth. So, and it says with the woman and went to make war with the remnant. So majority of people don't know that your enemy is at war with you, and the number one instrument that he used to go to war with you is your own woman. A majority of our men, majority of us, sleeping with the enemy. All right, sleeping with the enemy. Oh, I was watching The Matrix last night, and it popped up. That's a badass. The first one. That's a badass fucking all around movie. And when Morpheus was walking around, and Morpheus was explaining to Neo about the agent and how everybody's a potential agent until they unplugged, and they didn't know how deep that saying is. Everybody's a demon until they are proven otherwise. Okay, everything is utilized to come against us. Women, children, pets, everything. All right, they're at war with the remnant. The remnant is who? The elect. That's the main um, target. That's the main threat. When we tell these people that this society is coming down, the main threat is the people that's saying that the society is coming down. This is why we truly, and this is weird ass, backward ass society. Going back to the women real quick, they always like the bad boys, those that are rebellious, right? But it's not those that are rebellious, it's those that rebel against righteousness. That's who they like. That's who they love. Because they're chaotic beings. And Esau has, let me get this real quick. Esau has taken the basic human nature and amplify it to un, un uncanny wickedness, bro. Like he heightens the wickedness that's around him. Why? Because he is the wicked. All right. It says Psalm 64. That's what I want. It says a chief musician, a Psalm of David. Hear my voice and my prayers. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. And these individuals, these elites, they have set a system to come against the Israelite man. All right. They had set up a system completely to annihilate the Israelite man. Take the Israelite man out of position, period. And once he finds himself in a certain position, he uses the very delicate ones, delicate by nature, to take a man down. All right. It says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Insurrection, I believe is going to say company. Yeah, thong and company. So those who trying to overthrow the status quo, the natural order. All right. That's who the elites are. They're to destroy the natural order, and they have done one hell of a job. All right. That's why when the natural order is set, or even make mention of the patriarch, um, even how to work. There's a natural order to everything. This man has completely turned it upside down via Isaiah the 29th chapter. Okay, it says, "Who whet their tongue like a sword," meaning they sharpen their tongue. Throughout the process of time, they made everything seemingly to their favor. They take the truth, whatever is true, and they exploit it. All right, and mold it to how they feel like, to their agenda. It says, and bend their bows to shoot the arrows, even bitter words. That's why you have this whole political campaign. The worst pieces of shit that's out there is politicians. They're the greatest liars on the planet Earth. They'll lie with a straight face. All right. Other than them is lawyers, but the society is built on that. Right. It says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. What are perfect? The Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. It tells you, was it Proverbs 3:31? Envy not the way thou oppressor. So they have people mimicking or emulating their lifestyle, which is very inconvenient for us. Says they do shoot at him and fear not. So what do? They break the family apart. That's why this whole notion of feminism is inadequate for the quote unquote black man, the black family, because the black man was the family wasn't the structure of the family. The black man wasn't oppressing the black woman, but the serpent lying helped destroy that. Or I'm not gonna get it because it's gonna be that. It's gonna take a. I love that breakdown. Matter of fact, we get it. Thinking about it. Um, it's an apocrypha. Let me just get that. Whisper. Sirach 28, and I gotta go up 28 and 13 to the point. It says, "Curse the whisperer and double tongue, for such have destroyed many that were at peace." The whisperer is whom? The elites, that serpent spirit. All right, going back to the art to the garden, the serpent was, when you break it down, the Hebrew word for serpent is nakash. The root word is basically a witch, a warlock. All right, so he casts a spell into the minds of women. That's why women are what known as the weaker vessel. The weaker vessel don't is not her mind is not fortified. That's how the Lord designed it. The scriptures tells you he deprived her of wisdom. Her wisdom is her husband. So when he approached her, she went to turn to tell Adam, right? So this is the spirit that Esau has practiced. He has practiced this. He has mastered it. That way, women now publicly saying that they don't need a man, point blank, period, because of this whisper. It says a backbiting tongue have disquieted many and driven them from nation to nation. Strong cities have pulled down, and overthrown houses of great men. And that's why I always go back to Eden. All right, the Garden of Eden. That was Adam was a great man. He was a king before the term king came about. That was a great house. So this devil did what he did, help overthrow that particular house. All right. It says a backbiting tongue have cast out virtuous women, deprived them of their labors. So what is a woman's job? A woman's job is to attend to her husband. So this man has completely annihilated the whole entire nuclear family, as they say, to the point where if you do talk about that, that's like a what's that? What that's like a buzzword for people to anger. So when they shot these lies towards the people, they completely destroyed a whole. They wiped out a whole generation of Jake. All right, that's what they did. It says they encouraged themselves in an evil matter, passing on laws that completely no man can ever follow. Even they can't follow. All right, in order to sow that chaotic state. So now that's why I make mention of the Handmaid's Tale. It was a chaotic world, and they finally brought some sort of order. But everything that people were accustomed to from the old world, they just broke them down. Women was not couldn't be a whore. They had to be with one particular man. So all that shit that they doing now, because there was one particular one, it was two, but one main one talking about how she was a victim, and that's what she told all the women, and the women was like, "No, you're the problem." All right, so that's why you have all these talk TV shows, Maury, and I mean back in the day it was Ricky Lake, and all these dumb shows and trying to make the women to be the sympathetic being, was all a setup. All right, it was all a setup. This is why they encourage themselves. They find ways of getting into the house and completely destroying it. Once you destroy the minds of the people they're done. They commune with laying snares, trap. This whole entire system is a trap. That's why the majority of people today are complaining about losing their jobs. All right, people are literally figuring out that every time you work, you not even making enough money to to live, because majority of people today have been living in this gluttonous mindset, have more than their heart could desire. That only could get you so far. All right, we all get caught up in that. Certain things that we may not need as much is not necessary. But the way these people are, the way they operate, they need everything. Yo, even DoorDash, and they haven't done it in Uber yet, but DoorDash, if you can't afford a shit, you could pay later another month. That's how you know it's bad if you can't pay for $20 meal, right? Okay, that's how you know it's bad. But this is all part of the trap. They set up a system where people cannot create their own or be in their own. All right, sustain themselves. Men, women don't know how to hunt. They don't know how to cook. So now you just become more dependent on the government. The government. That's a trap. All right. Privately, they say, "Who shall see them?" So that's all that's going to lead to the mark of the beast. All right. That's what the scripture says. You can't buy or sell. They created a system where, in order to survive, you must buy. You have to buy. All right. You can't grow your natural resources. You can't grow a garden. Your garden can only go so far. You know what I'm saying? You don't. You gotta. You have to buy it because they're the drug dealers. I was in a Home Depot purchasing something for somebody, and I'm looking around. Spirit had me look. There was I'm into botany, and they had a seedless grape tree. I was like, what the fuck? So how is it possible? And it's grapes are vines. So you're gonna sell somebody that, okay, I'm gonna grow my own stuff, but it's not gonna reproduce its own self. But that's the devil for you. He did this shit privately. It says they search out iniquities. And what is iniquity? Sin that's multiplied. This is why this is a hyper sexual um society. The hypersexual, that's why you have a thing called porn. Sex sells. That concept, that idea, okay? Women are more into women than they are to the opposite sex. All right? They It's all about teasing and so forth. Now they created that madness, which Lord willing they don't celebrate it next month. That they took a whole month, but now they try to slip into this these petties, all right, to get involved. So now everything is being more acceptable. Why? Because they set up a system. They guided the minds of people. They molded the minds of their citizens to accept those particular lifestyles, to accept the wickedness. They accomplish a diligent search. Because it's all about the dopamine. You can't watch a normal film or movie or TV show without some sort of sex or something that they're selling, food, anything that they're selling. All right, because they mess with people's dopamine. Okay, both the inward thoughts of every one of them and their heart is deep, and these are the elites of the society. Okay, this is how they operated. So they molded the minds of the people. But all this molding, all this shit that they've done is having them guilty. All right. Real quick, Daniel 7:26. It says, but the judgment. Matter of fact, I started at 25. And he spake great words against the Most High, saying the Lord doesn't exist. All right, take the Lord's work and molded it to His synthetic work. All right, and it says, and wear out the saints. When you go into that word, the Hebrew word is bala, which means to constantly harass. Because at the end of the day, once again, the main target of all this shit is blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, the biblical Israelites. All right, that's who the devil's coming down, having great wrath towards. Once they can't work their magic, so to speak, then the last thing to do is what? Get out there physically. But they wearing us out, and all of us are worn out. All right, you got young men that you got a generation of children that need energy drinks. They're supposed to have a plethora of energy, but why? Because of the food that they're eating and so forth. All right, the air that we breathe, the water we drink, everything is poisonous. Then mentally, they attack us constantly. Being a man in this society, being a man, period, is a blessing. The Wadi Habashim Yah shot for being a man. Point blank, period, because that's the Lord is dealing with men. Okay? In this society, being a man is the the lowest of the low. Chris Rock is the best one to say it. He said in a family, everybody is above the mother, the children, the son and the daughter, the even the pets are above the man. So that where that's where it tears into your mind as well. But it says it shall wear out the saints of the Most High and think to change times. All right, that's why you have particular leap years. It says in laws, yeah, men with men, women with women, to change the ordinance. Men, women over men. That's the law. They changed that. All right, and they shall be given into his hand. Whose days shall be given to us Israelites? Given to whose hand? To Esau's hand. We under Esau's rulership. All right, until a time and dividing of times. For a period of time, 350 years, they had full autonomy over us. But from the 1960s, early 70s, the wave was changing because his time was coming to an end. So we've been in a technically we have been in Esau's downfall since the late 60s, 70s. When Abba Bivens went out there to preach this word, that was the beginning of his end. All right. But the judgment shall sit, which is what? Going back to Job 14 and 5. All right. There's a bound that he cannot pass. So that judgment, he can't pass that judgment. So it's his society is a ticking time bomb, so to speak. Anybody that's joined onto him are huge failures themselves. All right. These are the nations. All right. Everybody that's joined with this man is going to lose tremendously. The biggest losers in society. It says, and they shall take away his dominion. The Yahushua is the one that's going to be take away his rulership. All right. To consume and to destroy it until the end. So the Lord is coming back to remove this cancerous thing. The scripture says about heavy offense, this offensive thing on the planet Earth, and tossing it out. Okay? Anything that offend the Lord is getting tossed out. The Lord's concern is his people, his kingdom. It says, and the kingdom and dominion and greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. Who's him? It's talking about Yahushua. So Yahushua is coming back to set everything in order. All right. Let me end it off on this. I believe it's, I'm thinking of Isaiah. That's crazy how you could be mad at these creatures because they're nothing but a creature indeed. Talking about women, and when you see them, you could see, but that's heavy that the Lord did that. Women, some they ugly, like they're not beautiful like they used to, but we men are naturally attracted to them. That's why you kind of feel something, but the Lord is like, put your feelings to the side and analyze what you're really seeing. All right, use your big head. Isaiah 47 and 1. I'm just gonna read down real quick. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O daughter, virgin, a virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit in the ground. There's no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. The daughter, which is the offspring of what? Of a man and a woman, right? So this is the offspring of Babylon the Great. The mindset. Babylon means the land of confusion. Babal, confused land. No, sorry, yeah, confused land. Okay, when you break it down. So this is nothing but the land of confusion. The Chaldeans were the Magi's, the illuminated ones at that time. So this is talking about America, virgin, because America has not been uh, uh, um, invaded. All right, they have not been taken out of position of power. It says, "Take the millstone and grind mill and uncover thy locks," which the uncovering of the locks is what? The exposure. Seeing their nakedness straight up. That's why the majority of women today, you could see their entire body. It's like not the only thing is left is to see skin. That's it. Straight up, they just take off their bras and that's it. But that's why the Lord is exposing America. All right, because America is the vibration of a woman. It says, "Make bare thy leg, uncover the thigh, pass the rivers," which talks about what? Un, uh, the history of what America has done. Okay, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, and that's talking about the history, the dark history. How can um, Donald J. Trump talk about South Africa and the how they mistreat white farmers, where America has mistreated their people, the people that they claim that they're people, with the most harshest judgment? Okay, the greatest prejudice on the entire world, and then would come to find out they was talking about genocide of those people. Then it was like only 43 one year, 50 something another year. That's not genocide. That's like regular. Like me and the brother was talking about it. He said Baltimore alone, like 300 people died. So let alone every American city, see how many people died. You could have said that's genocide, but that's all political pawn. But the Lord is showing the world America's nakedness, his wickedness. Yeah, that shame shall be seen. All right. And that's one thing that's not practiced in the society. Shame. Nobody feels no sort of shame. But shame is coming back. And shame not only is going to come back, it's coming back with a vengeance. Said, I will not take, will, sorry, I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. So when Yahweh Shai comes back, he's not coming back as an ordinary man. All right. That somebody can look down upon. He's coming out his glorious state. He's coming as an angelic being. He's coming with power. See, that's one thing this world knows is just all they understand is violence. So he's coming back in a violent uh, um demeanor. Okay, he's coming back to wipe this place out. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts is his name. So who's Redeemer? The Israelite man's Redeemer. All right. Script the order is this: Yahweh number one, Yahweh Shai number two. The Israelite man is under Yahweh Shai. Then the Israelite woman. So yeah, he is our Redeemer. And the Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies, that's who he is. All right. His and the Holy One of Israel, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, or the daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt be no more called the Lady of Kingdoms. So this society, Western society, the Western world is the vibration of a woman. This is why women are put in a pedestal. This is why everything's dealt on emotions, not logical. We're transitioning from a queendom to a kingdom, a masculine, a power. This is why it's a conflict right there. Right there shows you the conflict. That's what it says in Psalms 94. I'm not gonna get it. I'm just gonna quote it. Can 3 or Amos of 3:7. It said two walk together lest they be agreed. But it says, can the throne of iniquity um, be with thee? And the answer to that is no. Righteousness can't be with wickedness. So one has to dominate, the other has to die. So we are at the dying state of this queendom. I was wroth with my people. So the Lord purposely allowed his people to be subject to all sort of matters. I've polluted my inheritance. I've given them into thy hand. That didst show them no mercy. And upon the ancient has thy verily held, upon the ancient has that thou very heavily laid thy yoke. So they have put pressure on the Lord's people. They have destroyed the Lord's people. All right. The the birth of this land is the slaughter, the genocide, the true genocide of the Native Americans. That's a true genocide. Okay. So over 100 million Native Americans got destroyed. That's a genocide. Then you took the other tribes and brought them into cargo slave ships. So you didn't show no mercy. Then you had the whole Jim Crow situation. They had there was arresting Jake, say lying on them, stating that they owe a particular cracker, this, that, the third, and just lock them up. Okay, and this is, and now said us, I will be a lady forever. So that did us not lay these things to thy heart. They just did it. Remember the latter end of it. So all the shit that you, all the wickedness, that's what's happening to this day. All the wickedness that these broads are doing, they don't lay it to their heart that there's gonna payback's gonna come in. Then that's which is making them more proud and making them do more things. So therefore, here now this thou art given to pleasure, that didst that dwellest carelessly, that says in thy heart, I am and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. And that's exactly what's happened. They believe that nothing bad is going to happen to them. But these two things shall come into thee in a moment, in one day: the loss of children and the widowhood. So widowhood is what? Loss of husband, loss of protection. The children is what? They army. They about to lose everything. The elite's about to lose everything. In 1 hour. Everything. Okay? And there shall come upon thee in the perfection, which is talking about those ICBM nuclear missiles, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great and abundance of enchantments. And that's what's hitting the majority of these people, is in enchantments. That's why these people are behaving the way they are. Because there's a constant spell that's showing you, or that's guiding you, or telling you, this is how you have to be. This is how you have to, not to think outside the box. And going back to the Matrix. And that was the whole concept. And the character Cypher, all right, his whole thing was what? He wanted to go back into to ignorance. But he wanted to take everybody down with him. So that was a trained mind. That's what you call Stockholm syndrome that he had. And that's the majority of all these people. These people are not going to let this shit go, because they too knee deep. But the scriptures tell you what? That the Lord's going to destroy this place. Okay? So with that being said, shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. I'm just going to cut it. I'm just going to end it on that. Shalom.